I'm trying to sell 1,000 different things. And as I sell each one of those different things, I want to make a video to share exactly what it is and more importantly, how I sold it. Because something I have been learning over these last 2.5, 3 years as I have been building a brand for myself and a machine underneath it that allows me to use it to sell stuff is that you can sell almost anything that you could possibly think of if your brand is big enough and strong enough. Okay. And frankly, something I've learned about in this process is that the dumber the thing is, the more likely you are to be able to sell it. Now, I don't actually mean is it dumb, but I mean the more simple, the more straightforward, both in concept and in title that the thing happens to be, the easier it's going to be for the person who hears you talk about it, who sees your ad for it, whatever, to know that's the thing I'm looking for, that's for me. I think in my own experience and what I've observed in others, it is easy to get caught in the trap of thinking I need some sort of genius invention that makes me feel like I came up with something super complex for my ego so that I put that on the market, and then when people see it they'll be like, "Oh my god, what an absolutely innovative forward thinking person." But that's not the point. That's not my point. My point is to sell 1,000 different things. I don't care what they are. They could be Pokemon cards. Someone suggested that I sell health insurance today. And the only reason why I'm probably not going to take that person up on that is because I don't want to have to learn enough about health insurance to sell it. Part of the mission that I'm undertaking here is not just can I sell 1,000 different things, but can I do it in some finite time span? Meaning, can I get it done in the next 18 months would be amazing, right? Which is to say, I don't want to have to learn, long, intense sales processes for things like life insurance to do this. Okay, whatever. Boring, leave that alone. The Clout hotline is this, and I've already sold one $500 package of it. Let me take one quick zoom out step. So you YouTube people don't know me from a can of paint. Let's just be honest about it. I got 777 subscribers on here, something like that. On Instagram, some people know me. The people that know me are people who are on the inside baseball of Hollywood. And I would say probably like the intersection of Hollywood, tech, culture, somewhere in there. Okay. But especially famous people who are looking for ways to extend their careers in the middle of this rough Hollywood moment. Those people pay a lot of attention to me because I don't even want to get into the because. I mean, I could make up a because. I'll just say flatly, I think the reason is because they're looking for any solution to the current problem, which is that famous actors, writers, directors, even non-famous actors, writers, directors, producers, all the people who have been working in Hollywood for the last 10, 20, 30 years are worried that they're not going to be able to feed themselves, pay their bills, feed their families in the next 10, 20, 30 years. And so they're looking for solutions to fix that. And so, because I came up through that industry over the last decade, and because those people are watching, and this is important because I'm talking about market building here, basically. Sometimes I know famous people, just to be so straight. And to unpack that box a little bit, I used to host a podcast with Julie Bowen from Modern Family. I have a podcast on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert Network called Yearbook. I had a podcast called Direct Deposit which is an Audible original, which you can go listen to right now if you want to, where I interview people like Issa Rae, Gabrielle Union, Charles King, Pinky Cole, and then you go over to the Julie Bowen one, and it's like Jimmy Kimmel and Keenan from SNL, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, famous is galore, right? Spike Lee's the person that sort of discovered me in the telling of my story. I've sold shows with Morgan Freeman, movies with Will Packer. All the Kanye has been in the part of the story, right? And I just want to say, not post sort of breakdown Kanye, but the point I'm making is not that I know famous is, and I know the point I am not trying to make the point just that I know famous is, and I know that to the untrained eye, that's probably exactly what it sounds like is the point that I'm making. It's not. It is, though, that because I have been around them and because I have media assets with them, I have been able to observe the value of what a famous person's face, name, words in your media asset are worth and are not worth. Let me unpack that a little bit more. So, I promise I'm going to tell you what the Clout Hotline is. What I've noticed is the podcast interview style industrial complex is now oversaturated. It reached its peak, which is to say, it's no longer hyper valuable for you to just have a famous person sitting across from you with a microphone, because we can watch famous people talk everywhere. We can see, if we want to watch our our favorite famous person in a podcast interview, we could see them on 10 different channels, including, and this is important, their own. So now the scarcity, the value, the eyeballs have moved away. They've become so disparate, so sort of separated, because there's so many different places where you can watch famous people talk, which means the scarcity now is in who. It's almost like who can create the cliff notes of what a famous person has to say, which is to say, who can make it the most easy and consumable for you to know the interesting thing that a famous person said. Okay? I'm learning this in real time. It's not like it's not like I imagined that it would go this way. I am experimenting and watching it process out in front of me as the guinea pig. Let me say that more simply, okay? Here, you might have two options here in front of you. You could spend an hour and a half watching, and this is a real example of somebody who, I've had a conversation with recently. You could spend an hour and a half watching, let's say, David Banner, okay? Who's a famous rapper producer. You could watch an hour and a half of him doing an interview on The Breakfast Club or something like that. Or you could land on a video in your scroll, which is me talking directly to the camera and telling you, I just talked to David Banner, and these are the three most interesting things he had to say. Now, David Banner might be a bad example for this because he's a really good public speaker and a writer himself. But one reason why so many celebrity interviews don't blow up is because, by and large, celebrities are often really good at their craft, but they're not great at this, which is like, this is writing. This is taking an infinite array of ideas or things that could be shared and distilling them down to one or two or three sound bites, things that someone can actually take with them. This is more a service of generosity to the audience. This is like, I am serving you a cooked meal rather than an array of raw ingredients. And so some people do want to go watch the full hour and a half long interview, but what I have experimented with across dimensions, I just mentioned a few of them: podcasting. I've written books where I've interviewed people, right? In this shape, if I can give you a vertical video where I distill down our entire conversation to just 3 points in less than 3 minutes, generally about 90 seconds long, that gives you something you can watch, digest, share, bing, bang, boom, and zip it off to the next person. That's what people like today. And I'm not saying that that's good, bad, or some people think it's really bad, because it means that our attention spans and our brains are not functioning the way that they're supposed to. But what I can say is that there's an appetite for this, because I've experimented on both sides. I have done the hour-long interview with Jimmy Kimmel, and I have done the bite-sized interview with somebody else on the phone, where I decide what's the most interesting part of this, okay? And then I make a video out of it. I drop it on my Instagram. So I've been doing that probably for 2 years now, just for funsies, and for engagement, frankly. Like, famous person calls me, they want to talk about project X, Y, or Z, whatever. And this is another thing. This is very important. Why I came to this concept is because, man, if I had been documenting in any way the conversations that I was having 7, 8, 9 years ago at the beginning of this, when I thought I wasn't important enough to have a voice in this industry, I would have 5 to 7 years worth more catalog of extremely valuable content, notes on conversations I was having with people at that time, like Spike Lee, Kanye West, Jay-Z, etc., etc., etc. Okay? But I was shy about it. Doesn't matter. Here we are today, right? And I, frankly, those conversations are still in my memory bank, and so I can still catalog them. But where we are today is that I have now named and branded this thing. It is the Clout Hotline, and here's exactly how it works. Okay, I got a call on it last night from a woman named Lunell. She is, best way to put it is, she's the only black lady comedian that has a residency in Vegas. She's got 1.4 million followers. She's known as one of the queens of comedy. She's in her 60s. She's been doing this for almost 50 years. She's been in 30 movies and TV shows. I don't know how, if you don't know who she is, I understand. Our pockets of the celebrity space are all different, but that's who she is, right? And just to use this as example, the way that conversation came about is I've been talking about the Clout Hotline on my Instagram, talking about, I'll do a video. Hey, I just talked to Will Packer. He's a big Hollywood producer. I say, hey, just talked to Will Packer. These are the 3 most important things he said. ... People's eyeballs come in. They say, wow, what's happening over there? Wow, Will said that. Will's talking to this guy. What's going on there? Now I go back to my Instagram with a video right after that, and I say, hey, if you're famous and you want to call in and have a conversation like this with me for some free PR, I'm available. Do it. But if you're not famous, right, I'm willing to do that for a famous person for free because their name, their image, even just them commenting after I drop the video is worth a lot in engagement for me. And because I have a business, I understand how much engagement is, the value of engagement for me, not just the dollars that, you know, the pennies that Instagram will throw at me if I get enough engagement, or like the rev split I can do on YouTube if I reach a certain amount. But I know because I have a business, right? I have a suite of services and offerings and products for people that I have to reach. You probably can see it written up there somewhere on that board, maybe not. I got to reach like 20 million impressions this year to meet the goals of my business. And so every time I can use a celebrity's name, image, and their own engagement on one of my posts, that gets me closer and closer to hitting that number. But if you're not famous, it doesn't, right? If the person who's calling in doesn't have a name, it means I have to create the brand value for the media value for that video using my own name, my own image, my own voice, my own ability to tell a story that hooks the algorithm in a way that gives my video precedence. In a way that gives my video, precedence. I was like, yes. And so if a non-famous person wants that, they got to pay. Now, how much do they have to pay? They have to pay $500. Okay? A couple reasons why. Number one is I have set the rate for my time. I do not want to spend my time on anything for anybody else for less than $500. That is a decision that I've made. If somebody wants something that I have made that is like a video or an info product, something that they can literally just go download on their own, I can set the prices for those accordingly. Some are $47, some are $97, whatever. But if I have to get up and do something other than the other things that I know are valuable to me and my business, they got to pay me at least $500 to do it. Okay, that is the value of me moving my focus from whatever else I'm doing or thinking about or whatever, to the thing that they've asked for, no less than $500. Now, there are some things I will not do for $500, right? You got to pay me way more than that. Somebody asked me how much to produce their vertical series, and I told them no less than $10,000 per episode. And there are reasons for that. The time that goes into it, the energy, the fact that they're going to want to give notes, the fact that there's no market set yet for this particular thing, the fact that they're going to get to use my name to make their thing popular. They're going to get to tell people Chad Sanders produced this, right? Which every day, if I keep doing my job, will mean more and more and more in the market, which I am going to do my job. So I'm not doing that for less than $10,000 an episode. But for $500, I will make somebody one video. I will call them on the phone. We will talk for 15, 20 minutes. I will learn exactly what about them is interesting, is noteworthy, might mean something to the people who follow me. And then as soon as we hang up or within the next few hours, but same day, I will make a video 1 to 3 minutes long that announces this person, tells the audience, tells the people who are going to see that video, which is a bigger reach than my audience, right? Because some of my videos hit 100,000, some of them hit 1 million people, right? I am going to announce this person to that audience. I am going to tell them exactly why there's somebody to know, what's interesting about them. And I am going to promote and point to the thing they're working on as something that those people should go take a look at. That is how this works, the Clout Hotline. Now, if I came to the internet, which I've tried in different ways, and I said, hey, you know, if you want a marketing video from my content agency for, it's blank amount of dollars per impression, and this is how the analytics work behind it, and yada yada. Nobody is trying to hear that. This goes back to the original point, which is the dumber the better. And I'm working at getting better at making things more clear, more simple, more dumb, which is to say, this is clout for a fee. That's what it is. If you can try to slice it 100 different ways, but people want to reach other people. They want to be seen. Some of them want to be famous. If you're doing it on the internet, it's because you want people to see you. And so if that's what you need, if you need that clout, if it's valuable to you, if it's something that you think you can turn into money or whatever else it is that you're looking for, hey, if somebody thinks they're hot, or if somebody's looking for somebody to say, hey, I'll help you find somebody to date, I'll make a video for you that showcases how attractive you are spiritually. I'll be like, hey, let's talk on the phone. Tell me all about you. Okay. Oh, I think these are the things that people will think are interesting, that people will want in you. I just had this idea on the spot, so maybe I actually will do this. You call in the Clout Hotline, and I'll showcase you. Doesn't have to be a business. It could be yourself. You just want some clout and you want it now. That's what the Clout Hotline is for. When I put it on the market, I made a $500 sale within 24 hours. That the video was up within the next 24 hours after that. The client was responding to me within 12 hours after the video went up, telling me how excited and happy he was that I was able to market his business that way. There's a simplicity. There's a straight line through that stuff, okay? So that's the Clout Hotline. That is one of 1,000 things that I am going to sell. And I'm including things I've already sold, of which there are about 25, including somebody has paid me $2,500 to have access to me to text back and forth. I think that's valuable. People have paid me for merchandise. Somebody's made an offer to pay me $250 for a picture of each one of my feet, $200 a foot. I think that the possibilities here are endless. And I'm also excited about the possibilities of documenting, of chronicling this for you all. So I'm done. It's my birthday. Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.